Have you noticed it too lately when you look at trains, buses, or even your social media feed? They're everywhere. Those tiny, yellow little creatures with a single pair of goggles, blue overalls, and a big smile. Yes, we're talking about the Minions. We're talking about the little yellow creatures that have practically painted the world yellow, from train wraps and coffee cups to fashion. But have you ever wondered? How did these tiny creatures, who can't even speak properly and only make incomprehensible babbling sounds, surpass Mickey Mouse, Pikachu, and even Star Wars characters to become a massive $10 billion pop culture empire? It looks like a simple cartoon made for children, doesn't it? But it's not. Behind these minions lie psychological experiments, coincidences born from budget crises, hidden linguistic genius, and even dark urban legends that have shaken the internet. Today, on The Why, we're uncovering the big secret behind those yellow icons on trains and revealing 12 astonishing facts about the Minions that you've probably never heard before. If you're ready, let's begin the journey. At the very beginning of the story, back in 2008, when Illumination Entertainment decided to make Despicable Me, the main character, Gru, was supposed to have a massive army behind him. So how did directors Pierre Coffin and Chris Renaud originally design Gru's army? In the first concept sketches, the Minions were gigantic, human-sized, muscular, terrifying robots or orc-like creatures, the kind you'd expect to see in a dark science fiction movie. So what happened that turned those giant creatures into 1-meter-tall yellow beans almost overnight? The answer is very simple: money. The studio's budget was so small that creating, modeling, and rendering such a complex robotic army in 3D was simply impossible. To stay within budget, the animators searched for the simplest design that required the fewest details: a capsule-shaped body, a pair of goggles, blue overalls, and the color yellow. The design masterpiece that took the world by storm wasn't actually born from artistic genius. It was born entirely out of a lack of budget. More accurately, it was the most profitable act of desperation in cinema history. In the movies, you see thousands of minions: Kevin, Stuart, Bob, Dave. Their voices all sound slightly different. Their intonations, screams, and laughs all seem unique. You'd think the studio hired hundreds of voice actors to create one giant chorus, but in reality, every single one of the 899 minions you see on screen is voiced by just one man. That man is French director Pierre Coffin. During production of the first film, the studio searched for voice actors, but simply couldn't find that strange, childlike sound they were looking for. As a temporary solution, Pierre Coffin stepped up to the microphone, raised his voice as if he had inhaled helium, and started making completely random, babbling noises. "I'm only doing this as a test," he said. "We'll find a professional voice actor later." But when the producers heard Coffin's temporary recordings, they were absolutely captivated. "We're not looking for anyone else," they told him. "You're the voice." And even today, throughout this massive franchise that has continued for over a decade, every scream, every laugh, and every nonsensical sound comes from Pierre Coffin's own voice. Most people think the language the Minions speak is nothing more than completely random, made-up gibberish. Bellow, poupée, banana. But that's not true at all. When Pierre Coffin created this language, he approached it like a real linguist. The language is called Minionese, or as it's popularly known, the banana language. But do you know the most fascinating part? It's actually a blend of dozens of different languages from around the world. For example, when a minion says poulet papaya, it's combining the French word for chicken with the Spanish word papaya. When they say terima kasih, they're directly saying thank you in Indonesian. When they say tu lalilu ti amo, they're using the Italian phrase for I love you. You'll even hear words from Hindi, Tagalog, Spanish, and Korean mixed in throughout their speech. So why did the director do this? Because psychologically, when the human brain recognizes a familiar sound pattern within an unfamiliar language, it instantly develops a sense of empathy and connection with that character. No matter where the minions are shown, whether you're on a train in Tokyo, or sitting in a movie theater in Istanbul, every culture can recognize a tiny piece of its own language in the way they speak. That's the secret formula behind their global success. Now, shall we dive into the psychology of color? In the world of animation, no color is ever chosen by accident. Have you ever wondered why the Minions are yellow? First, according to color theory, yellow represents happiness, childlike energy, attention, and optimism. Second, there's a technical reason. The most common colors used in animated backgrounds are blue and gray. Since yellow is the complementary opposite of blue, it creates strong visual contrast on screen without straining the viewer's eyes. Now, do you remember those wild, feral purple minions introduced in the second movie? Why purple? Why not green? Why not red? If you look at the color wheel, purple sits directly opposite yellow as its complementary color. So when the filmmakers wanted to create an entirely evil version of the yellow minions, they moved to the exact opposite end of the color spectrum and made them purple. They also designed their hair to be messy and completely chaotic, deliberately contrasting the neat appearance of the yellow minions, just like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. One of the most frequently asked and long debated questions in the Minions universe is this: why do all the Minions have male names? Kevin, Bob, Stuart, and why aren't there any female Minions? When director Pierre Coffin was asked this question, his answer was both hilarious and incredibly controversial on social media. He said, "After seeing how naive, foolish, clumsy, and constantly self-destructive the Minions are, I simply couldn't imagine adding female characters among them. Women just wouldn't behave that stupidly." According to the director, all of the Minions' uncontrolled foolishness and clumsiness were reflections of what he jokingly described as the male brain. So how do these creatures reproduce? Although the films never give a clear explanation, several short films and concept books imply that Minions are produced from a single cell using an incubation machine or cloning tube. In other words, they don't have biological genders, but their personalities are built entirely around childlike male energy. Now we've reached the darker side of the story: how social media and conspiracy theorists tried to turn the Minions into a nightmare. A few years ago, a black and white photograph began spreading across the internet. It showed a group of short people wearing enormous helmets that made them resemble Minions. The claim beneath the image was horrifying. The design of the Minions was inspired by the helmets placed on Jewish children during the Nazis' poisonous gas experiments in World War II. Hundreds of thousands of people believed the claim, and boycott campaigns quickly spread across social media. But did it have even the slightest connection to reality? Absolutely not. Fact-checking investigations revealed that the black and white photograph actually showed the equipment worn by the Royal Navy's first submarine rescue divers in 1908. In other words, it had absolutely nothing to do with the Nazis or experiments on children. The real inspirations behind the Minions were far more innocent. Charlie Chaplin's silent film comedies, the Jawa characters from Star Wars, and the Oompa Loompas from Roald Dahl's Willy Wonka stories. But this incident taught us something important, my friend. Whenever something becomes unbelievably popular around the world, the internet never stops creating dark urban legends around it. Now let's return to the question we asked at the beginning of the video. Why do we see Minions even on trains today? From Japan's Shinkansen bullet trains to subway systems in the United Kingdom, railway companies have formed massive partnerships with Universal Studios. Do you know why? Because the marketing world has developed a phenomenon known as the Minion effect. The Minions have become the only visual icon on Earth that transcends language, race, religion, age, and culture. Even characters like Mickey Mouse or Pikachu tend to appeal to certain age groups or cultures. But when a 4-year-old child and a 70-year-old grandfather both see a Minion-themed train, they both smile. They are the slapstick comedians of the modern world. Just as Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton conquered the world through silent comedy in the 1920s, the Minions have become the silent film stars of the digital age in the 2020s. Those yellow faces painted across trains inject an instant burst of dopamine into the human brain, amid the gray, monotonous landscape of modern city life. That's the true story behind those little yellow beans. Born from a budget crisis voiced by a single man, speaking a language made from a blend of different tongues, and today covering everything from trains to skyscrapers. The Minions actually remind us of one of the most important rules of pop culture. You don't need complex philosophies, long speeches, or enormous budgets to make an impact on the world. A well-balanced sense of sincerity, childlike joy, and universal humor is enough to captivate an entire planet. The next time you spot those little yellow faces on the street, on a billboard, or wrapped around a train, remember the incredible story and the hard work behind them. So, what do you think about the Minions? Who's your favorite character? Or which scene do you love the most? Don't forget to share your thoughts with me in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more deep dives like this. See you on the next The Why Journey.